These events took place when I was 5 years old, in the rural South. You see, back then my family was always moving from town to town because of my stepfather's work. Among the memories I have around this time included some family secrets that we still don't really talk about. What I'm about to relate to you is one such untold secret we would rather forget. The modest white house we'd recently moved into was surrounded by 2 large willow trees that blocked out the sun, leaving our backyard shadowed and apart from the rest of the world. My 2 older sisters and I would often swing from the branches and climb their thick trunks, while our mother and stepfather would sit on the porch and contentedly watch us play in the late afternoon. We would ride bikes, swim in an inflatable pool, fly kites, and run on the slip and slide, you name it. We were very active children and never left a beautiful day unfulfilled. Across the street were a few other homes, and the sweet old couple directly across from us would often sit on their own porch and wave and smile at us as they drank lemonade from a large pitcher and sat in the old wooden rocking chairs. Our mother often waved cheerfully to them when we were brought outside, and their smiles and sweetness always made the day more pleasant. Until, that is, a few months after moving into the old white house, our mother got the 3 of us together, telling us there was something we needed to talk about as a family. She told us sternly that we were no longer allowed to wave at the sweet elderly couple across the street. She went so far as to tell us not even to look at them, and if we saw them waving to us, we were to come inside and tell her. This was an odd request to us. Nothing about the elderly couple seemed threatening or off in any way. Heck, our mother was the one who was always talking about how sweet they were to be so friendly. So this request baffled us and continued to baffle us for the rest of our stay in this particular home. But we minded and no longer responded to the couple across the street. Soon they had been easily forgotten as we got on with our lives in other homes and other towns. That is, until I was 16 years old, having a pleasant dinner out with my sisters and mother. A rare occurrence for sure at this time of our lives. Over our evening, conversation turned to that quiet old white house and the elderly couple across the street. As soon as the subject had been brought up, my mother's joyful face had darkened. Her eyes fell to her lap, and it took her a moment before actually addressing us. She told us she had been afraid to talk about the subject for all these years, especially while we still lived in that home. Afraid of the needless making us afraid of staying in that quiet house in the shade of the willow trees. At that time, our stepfather had been working for the local Pepsi company, a well-paying job that allowed my mother to stay at home with the 3 of us while still making a modest living for our family. Apparently one of his co-workers had actually lived in that house beside the willow tree for nearly 6 years and had only moved out the year before. My stepfather and the man were talking about the neighborhood and the house, when at some point my stepfather mentioned the sweet elderly couple across the street that liked to sit on their porch in the evening and watch us kids laugh and play. The man looked genuinely puzzled. He said that my stepfather must be joking, pulling his leg. My stepfather replied just as perplexed. With a sober face, the coworker told my stepfather that there was no elderly couple living across the street. Sure, there had once been occupants in the small home, but they had both died horribly nearly 3 years before from carbon monoxide poisoning. The couple's stove had leaked gas for days before they finally succumbed to the poisoning, and it took longer than that for anyone to find the dead couple. The man knew because he was the one who crossed the street to check on them, only to find the ghastly scene. He recommended we leave the house in the shade.